What's going on, guys? We're through that podcast. We got an amazing podcast coming up. This was with my dad. A lot of good things talked about. It was all around a good podcast, and I enjoyed filming it. Not too emotional or anything, but it was a good podcast. I got a lot of good insight from my dad. So did Wes, and I feel like all around it was a good podcast. Let's just jump straight into it for you guys for the weekly episode with my dad. Let's go.
Jungle.
I readjust a lot, so get me. But this will get you. Definitely.
All right.
These guys, you can't whisper.
Your mother said I have to keep it R-rated. Don't get X-rated.
X-rated? I
What's
could
X-rated?
keep it R-rated.
Well, you have no idea then. I keep it PG, I guess.
I filmed we just go straight into, I filmed the intro separately.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have my dad. I have my beloved father on the podcast today. Episode 6. Episode 6 of the podcast. I'm pretty excited.
Wait a minute. Let me ask a question real quick.
What?
Who watches this? Are these all your friends?
No, I actually have a lot of people watching this. I got.
Because I don't want to say stuff that your friends are going to be talking about later.
No, they won't.
All right. We're going to keep it kind of mild, all right?
We'll keep it mild.
We keep things,
We will. It's the best type of content. Yeah, actually, I put polls on my Victory Labs Instagram,
Uh-huh.
and they said that they like when I try to keep stuff like PG-13.
They like that?
They don't like it as much. No, they like a little bit more.
Well, I'm not trying to cause an uprising on the internet.
They're not going to cause an uprising on it.
Goddamn.
But yeah,
Karen's calling cops and shit.
Our audience is 76% male, so
All right.
the majority of our audience is male. No, I got this. Find out.
All right.
Yeah, so we have my dad today. This will be a pretty cool episode. Episode 6. Yeah. I'm very excited.
Me too.
This is gonna be pretty awesome. Are you excited, Dad?
Fuck yeah, we got Fat Boy in the house.
Okay.
Dad, you've
My
never
boy.
been on a podcast, huh?
I don't do interviews ever in life. Period. We don't.
This would be awesome.
This is a one-time thing, and that's because you asked me to. And you're my boy, so I have to comply with what you've wanted, and this will be the last and only time. All right. Unless we get like 100,000 views, and then we get rich.
That's the goal. Every podcast. I thought No Bulls podcast was gonna do good, and then that freaking
It dove. You know which one I liked the most though? Was the one when you guys were at the campfire.
You know what's
That
crazy?
one was cool.
You know what's crazy?
But I didn't watch the whole thing. I only watched a little bit of it. But what you should have did was instead of you should have put that beware. The
We only got
scene.
striked on the clips, so the whole YouTube video didn't get striked.
Okay.
Just the clips I uploaded of Weston crashing out.
Well, I mean, you kind of edited it kind of funky anyway, so it was like
yeah.
you couldn't really understand.
Well, so what happened was my phone stopped. We were running out of storage mid-podcast, so the phone was dying, and
I got you.
yeah, we lost some of the footage. So we just try to film a quick outro or whatever. But yeah, that was on the Instagram poll. That was our best podcast, and then it was Noah's podcast, which was weird.
Is that the one with you had
Eli
and
Villa and Noah? Yeah,
Villa the Killer.
that podcast. I feel like people clicked that was their favorite because they like Noah.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like a lot of people watch the whole duration of it. For
They
that
do keep it kind of long. They get a little long.
Yeah, for that podcast, I should have made it more funny instead of serious.
Hey, are you driving yet?
Not yet.
No.
Almost.
Almost.
Yeah. When did you start driving when you were younger?
I think I was 14, 13. I was about 4. I don't want to give you the wrong age, but I started driving regularly by myself at like 14.
Did you have your license? Or?
No, never had my license till I was 30. In fact, it got taken away because I got caught driving without a license when I was 15.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, no,
too-
I didn't get my license until I was 30.
Was it ever a struggle not having your license, or did you always like?
What do you mean a struggle? Yeah, it's not fun not having your license.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to watch your back all the time, and I don't recommend people do that. That's not a good thing.
Yeah. So I kind of want to dive into that a little bit. There's a story that me and Weston heard when we were younger and stuff. It was the Corvette story.
Corvette
Or the
story.
Camaro. Was it a Camaro or Corvette?
I don't know. There's a couple different stories.
The one with and all the names will get bleeped out, but the one or muted. The one with
Oh
is
yeah,
that the
yeah.
Camaro or the
That was a Camaro.
talk about that?
So yeah, we can talk about that. Buddy of mine called me one morning, and it was probably we were in Vegas, so we were up all night, and me and your mother went over to his house, and he had this brand new Camaro, and I'd never been in one of the new Camaros because I hadn't been out there when they came out, and he had it parked there, and it was a rental, and he goes, I got this Camaro, man. I said, well, shit, let me drive that. Oh, I gotta.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
And so he's like, all right. So I think it was about 4:30 in the morning, and so there wasn't a whole lot of traffic, and got in this Camaro and I fucking punched it down this side road, and I was doing about 140 maybe, and there was an intersection. It was green, so I had to go, and I didn't realize that it dipped before you go over, right? So I hit this sucker. I slowed down a little bit. So I had to have been doing like 115, 110, something like that. And we hit this damn thing and bam! And flew over the four. It was a 2 lanes on each. No, it was 2 lanes on each side plus the center. So it was it was wider than a 4-lane intersection, okay? And we flew completely over it. And I remember we hit our heads, bam, on the roof. Almost knocked me out. And we landed on the other side, and when we landed sideways. So I immediately went into this, there was a dirt lot, completely, just dirt, and we did a 360, and the whole time the homies, he was hanging on, screaming, we're gonna die. Because we were going fast. I mean, there was no stopping.
How much air do you think you got?
Oh, we cleared that sucker. We from here to across the street, almost. we were airborne. Like, have you ever seen the movie Ferris Bueller?
No.
Okay, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. If you ever watched that movie, it's about him ditching school, him and his buddy and his girlfriend, and they steal his buddy's dad's Ferrari, and they park it. They go to this fair down in downtown New York, and it's a parade, and they park it to valet. Well, the valet guys are thugs, so they take the Ferrari for a joyride while they're supposed to be parking it, and they're flying through the air. They show a scene where they're flying through the air, and both of them have this cheesy smile on their faces,
Like that?
Yeah. Well, we did the same thing, but we weren't smiling, and so we did did a 360 in the dirt. I thought I was gonna wreck, and I pulled out of it, and never missed a beat. Didn't hit the brakes, just kept on going through the dirt onto the street again. And like they were walking their dogs and stuff, and they were all shocked. They were pulling out their phones and stuff. So I didn't even hit the brakes. I just hit the first turn, took off, got back to the house, and I didn't realize how bad what's his name was. He was pretty scared. And your mother says that when we pulled up to the driveway, he was white, and I'm never driving with him again. You know, I was all excited and shit. We went, you know, it was an adrenaline rush. That's all it was, just adrenaline. I taught you how to ride dirt bikes.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, I was gonna save those for later.
Oh yeah, we can get into those later. Just edit that one out.
Yeah. What's some? I kind of want to. I don't know what one of these ask. Do you want to ask yours?
Yeah, let me hear what you got, buddy. I'm very interested. In
I got a lot of good. I got a lot of good questions.
Out of all, you know, I've always said Weston. You know, he's part of the family. So
Yeah. He actually sent me a really good question today, and I was like, damn, that's a good question.
well, let's hear it.
Yeah, I got a lot of good questions, but I know he's got ones I saw. I was like, yeah.
How was your status as a former prisoner affected your life?
As a former prisoner,
Yeah.
I'm a prisoner now. You know what? It depends on where you're at. Okay. Here, you get more judgmented than anything, especially if you have a hard time putting it away. I have a hard time putting it away because I've been in it all my life. So it's, you know, I've had a good long break from it, but it's still something that it's called trauma. Okay, I don't know if you realize the damage that's done when you're institutionalized, and that shit doesn't just go away. Especially if you've never had anybody to teach you how to get rid of those things. You understand is I went from that type of situation into a relationship pretty like right off the bat, and been in that relationship since for the last 10 years. So never got no therapeutic, you know, counseling or anything like that, and I don't really believe in that type of stuff anyways. I mean, that just, you know, gives you an avenue to vent and things like that, and I do that here and there.
Yeah.
But as the effects of it, look, I'm not out there trying to be the CEO of some bank. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it really doesn't affect me as much as far as on a personal type of relationship level when it comes to making friends and the type of individuals that I meet on a day-to-day basis. It all depends on where you're at, because, you know, some people are accustomed to being around those types of people, and then you got like places like out here where it's not as normal, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, so it all depends on where you're at. I've always had the ability to blend into my environment as much as possible, and I do so because I have, you know, responsibilities to my family, and without that, you know, that things might be a little bit different.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You have to put away certain things in order to make it through life nowadays, and the way. Let's be honest. This world is a lot different than when I grew up.
Yeah,
you know. The types of individuals nowadays are low class, and in the criminal aspects of life and things like that. It's watered down. It's not the same how I grew up. You know.
And what was the difference at the start than after you got out?
From the start of what?
When you like the start before you got in prison, and then right after you got out of prison, what was the difference? Like, what all changed?
I believe so. I can't really speak for. I want to say what changed on the outside was the fact that, you know, these phones and things like that gave everybody something to do, so much to where I remember when I first got out, I would walk down the street and everybody walking down the street were like this.
Yeah.
Okay, they weren't paying attention. They walked around like, their head in the clouds, and it was like, what the hell's going on around here? Like, these people are walking around like zombies in their phones. When I first went in, that was not a thing. There was no. When I first got out, I didn't even know how to use the phone.
Yeah.
We didn't have no screens where you could touch and things like that. That wasn't a thing. It was buttons, and so it just the internet gave everybody access to all this information. Half of it's bunk and false as it is. I mean, you can put anything you want on the internet nowadays, and everybody believes it. They want to comment on it. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people commenting on a bunch of shit. And you know what? Hey, good for them. They want to voice the air out there, whatever issues they got. They want to bash everybody else. And, in the end, they're not helping nobody. They're only doing it for themselves. Everybody's selfish nowadays. Everybody's out for themselves. I mean, I guess in a way it's always been that way. It's just you see it a lot more now. It's out there in the open. It's not hidden. Like back in the day, things, you were trying to get over on somebody. You weren't putting it out there for everybody else to see. Now people just do it, not thinking twice. And it's become so average and normal nowadays that people don't think twice. They just do it. And to people like me, you look like a fool. You look foolish doing all this weird shit on the internet,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, come on, you don't have no sense of self or respect or anything. You're gonna just act a fool. Like I see all these YouTube videos and things like that, and these people are just acting weird. It's the world is different now. It's not the same.
Yeah. How did you process that? Was that like a huge shock to you when you first got out?
It's still a shock to me. It's never going to go away. I'll give you one example. It's bled into, not only are these people doing it on the internet behind closed doors, they're doing it out there in public now. For example, back in the day, you wouldn't have. I was walking down the aisle at a grocery store one day, and I had these two teenage kids. Maybe they weren't teenage. Maybe they were 18 or older. I don't know. It didn't matter. But as I'm pushing a cart, they decided to walk by the cart and throw their McDonald's bags into my cart like it was a joke. And I thought to myself, what a
Yeah.
And I picked that goddamn bag up and threw it at the back of his head as hard as I could. Bam! Right in the grocery store. And let him know, hey, don't you are. And these people do it, just to get, I don't know if they want attention, they ain't getting love at home or whatever. They need some type of justification of acting idiots. It's like, and that's the type of shit that these people are accustomed to doing nowadays. And unfortunately for people like me, I don't care who you are. You're gonna act like a fool to me. You're gonna get treated like one.
Yeah.
And you're gonna learn real quick that you better know who you're dealing with out there, because not everybody grew up in the age of the internet where it's okay to air out your voices and your opinions. To me, I think to myself, I say, shut the.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that shit to yourself. Look, all this. I'm gonna get into a situation on a topic that not everybody likes to touch on, and that's because I see things a little bit different. All this, new age. You can't talk about this. You can't talk about that.
Oh yeah, like the canceling like Andrew Tate type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look, that's because people have gotten so sensitive, and it's not because they actually are sensitive about it. It's because they've been given a voice when they just shouldn't have had a voice to begin with on certain topics.
Yeah.
It's like I got told one time, everybody gets a fair chance. And I told the person, it was a counselor, and she was trying to tell me that that the person that I was having an issue with, which was another employee of hers, a counselor, I told her straight up that her counselor was a piece of shit, and that she had no business being a counselor. She needed more training, and was basically told in reply to that was that everybody gets a fair shot. And I thought to myself, no, that's not the case. Not everybody gets a fair shot. And I'll tell you why. Not everybody can be the president of the United States or run a company. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's individuals who can and cannot. And unfortunately, that's the way it's always been. That's the way, the weak are weeded out in society. And this goes back to the caveman and nature, okay? In nature, the strong survive and the weak are slowly weeded out.
Yeah.
This is how nature progresses. You see what I'm saying? It's like you can't just have a weak-minded individual lead a nation. It's not going to happen. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this concept of everybody gets a fair shot, everybody has their own opinions, and as we should give them a platform to do so, I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
You don't have your own shot. You don't, unless you have the ability to do so. Stay the hell out the arena. I'm not going to stick a 100-pound nerdy kid with glasses and buck teeth into a gladiator arena and bet on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keep him out. Put the guy who's, built for this. Not everybody's built for this stuff. Not everybody's built to be in an arena fighting for their lives or in a CEO office running companies. It just don't happen that way.
Do you think people could develop into the person to do so?
No, I don't think it's something that's bred into them. It's called like that flight. What is it? Fight or flight response. Okay.
I was talking to a buddy of mine about it, the same topic. But
unless they're brought up in it and groomed that way, you can't take. What's that saying? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's like taking a kid who's never been through anything traumatic or violent in his life and putting him in a war. What do you think's going to happen to that kid? You can train him all day long to shoot a gun. That don't mean shit when it comes down to it. When he's getting shot at, he's going to drop that gun, tuck tail, and run. Period. 100% of the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much training that kid's got. If he's never been and brought up in a situation or experienced any type of violence in his life, that kid probably ain't going to be the best soldier to be running your squad.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
I was talking to one of my friends about it, and we were talking about like an it factor. Like that it factor, some people just got it,
well, they say alpha and omega, right? So you got the alpha complex, you got, the beta. Okay, so that's a real thing. That's, and if you look at wolves in their packs and their societies, and you got the leader, and then you got the betas. You can't take a beta and make it an alpha. It doesn't work that way. You're either bred with it or you're not. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
I'm not the one who. That's just my opinion. Okay. So don't take that as fact, but that's the way I've seen the world. I've been here 41 years now, and that's the way I've always seen it. Maybe somebody else can tell me something different and show me an example of where they're coming from. But in all reality, the warriors of the world aren't going to sit there and disagree with me when it comes to letting the nerdy tech run his squad. I guarantee ain't no warrior out there ever going to let that happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, so going into that, like the pre-prison and post-prison, what was the craziest thing that happened to you that like really either shocked you or just changed your perspective of life while you were in prison?
We're not going to get into that. We're going to stay off that topic.
Okay.
Those are topics that they're not made for this type of internet stuff. We don't talk about those.
Can you talk about the riots or no?
Yeah, I mean, I was in three major racial riots. I went into a prison where we were at war with another race at the time, and that's the way I was brought into prison life. Was we were constantly at war, and we didn't go to war with guns. We went to war with knives, and that's the way it was. And so, other than that, I don't really want to speak on it. I lost a I lost a friend. He was killed in one of them. Um, so we're not gonna do. Those are things we. The let's try to stay off the prison topic, okay?
Yeah.
'Cause those are things that we don't talk about. Those are things behind the walls.
Yeah.
That's a different world. That doesn't belong out here.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
So with that said, do you regret it?
Do I regret going to prison?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't
Well,
think it's helped become the person you are today?
it's only made it. It's only made it more traumatic. It's only worsened. I'll never be the same after going through some of the things I've been through and had to go through.
Yeah.
So no, I don't. There's nothing to glorify there. Prison life is not something to glorify. Um, it's tragic. It's a situation where you should not be going to prison. Now there are people out there that deserve to be there. Don't get me wrong. I've met some evil people,
Mm-hmm.
but the majority of the situation nowadays is the justice system is broken. Okay, the justice system hasn't worked in a very long time. It all it is now is a money game.
Yeah.
Now, prison's not something that I wish upon anybody, even my worst enemies. I mean, there are some that deserve to be there and that they've done what they've done and they'll live with that for the rest of their lives. But for the majority of the people in prison, you got to understand that one day they will be getting out. So they need to start doing something to give them an opportunity when they do get out, because there's a lot of people who have a lot of family members that are in there and they got to come out one day. So give them a chance. I didn't really learn any skills while I was in there. I had to learn everything the hard way. So, and that's unfortunate. They need to have more reform for the ones who are getting out.
Yeah.
Instead of just locking them in there and expecting them to change. Prison is not for change. Anybody who tells you that, oh, this is the best thing for that person, he'll change or he'll be reformed, that's okay. Prison only makes you worse. It hones the skills that you've acquired to get in there already. You're only going to get better at doing what the hell you did to get in there the first time.
Yeah. So with everything stated, what's some advice you could give your younger self?
I went through a lot of trauma as a kid. So a lot of the stuff that the advice, there's nothing really I could have done. I wish I had a better role model growing up. I wish I had a dad who would teach me the rights and wrongs and tell me what not to do and what to do. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of letting mom, try to raise a man, I wish I had a father figure that would have showed me uh, what direction to head. And I there was a couple instances. I got my real dad, and then there was a stepdad in between that was a good role model. And in those times, I did okay, but it was mostly when my mother was a single mom trying to raise two kids and work. That's when I fell off of that path. You know what I mean? It's not easy for a mother to raise a man and especially provide for more than one child and herself. It's not something that can be done easily, and almost impossible nowadays with the way things are going as far as the economy and things like that. It's just nearly impossible
Yeah.
without government help. You know what I mean? And who the heck wants to be stuck on welfare all their lives?
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
So there was no point where you remember being a kid and you thought to yourself, if I would have had somebody to tell me don't do that or do this a different way, things would have been completely different?
No, that thought was never a thought of mine as a child. It wasn't until I was an adult, much later in life.
So what about now?
Now I realize that.
Yeah. So has there been anything beneficial from all that bad stuff that happened that gave you skills today? Mental toughness or whatever it may be?
Yeah, yeah. That's it's also giving a lot of negatives though. Mental toughness is good. These are good things to go through life, but it's how you react to certain situations that's when the negatives start to pop up. But yeah, I have a lot of good things that I would like to think that I have available, but there's also a lot of bad too. There's a lot of bad traits. I cuss a lot. I fly off the handle. I have a hard time with my temper. Um, but on the flip side of that, I think that I've done an okay job raising you and raising your sister, and I'm very proud of both of you. And that's the one aspect that I think that I was able to get right, or at least halfway.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of ups and downs through me and your mother's relationship, but um, I like to think that I made some right decisions in teaching you the ways of becoming a young man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So with that said, what's something that I've done over the past few years that surprised you the most?
You
This.
surprise me all the time. You surprised me just a little while ago when you drove me around. You always listen when it comes to a dad and his son or his kids. There, everything you do is a surprise. It's like watching you with pride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Dad, when he's around and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and sometimes they don't, and sometimes I don't. But when we are doing the right thing and we see you guys in a positive way reacting and going about your day to day lives, we're proud all the time. Everything you do gives me pride in the way that you handle certain situations and the way you conduct yourself. Even when you meet an individual and I see you shake that man's hand in a way that I think to myself, I taught him that. That's like good, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or even when it comes to Weston, when I see him doing things, I take pride in that because I know I had a hand in that.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, but you riding dirt bikes, man. We go out there and I see you riding and keeping up with us, and I'm like, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that gives me pride because I did that. I had a hand in that.
Yeah.
He did it, but I had a hand in helping him through that.
I feel like you taught me most things.
I feel like your family, Weston. So and
Yeah.
that goes for all Connor's friends, but mostly you because you've been around the longest. It's like anytime Connor has a question about when it comes to you, the answer is always yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I never say no when it comes to you and in your situation. So yeah, and I value your guys' relationship, and I'd like to see that continue way further into life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
me
know
too.
what I mean? Lifelong friends. Those are hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who or what helped you the most after getting out?
Oh,
Oh, okay.
that's a good one.
So there was a couple instances where your mother, number one, you and your mother having something to having some type of responsibility towards you guys was the number one thing. Moving out of where we came from was number two. Um, Without making those decisions, I think that things would have turned out a completely different way.
What was the best thing that happened?
Um,
Like that you ever had, like after coming out? What was like the most thing that you were looking forward to?
Looking forward to?
Yeah.
Not really. I never really looked forward to anything other than trying to just survive. The best Best thing was probably when Destiny was born.
Mm-hmm.
That changed me quite a bit. It's hard to put into words what it's like for you guys. You guys wouldn't understand yet because you guys aren't parents. But from somebody that where I came from a very uh, hard and violent lifestyle to all of a sudden having a child be born, it changes you. It brought love into my life that I didn't know anything about. That's probably the biggest thing that changed me the most is when she was born.
Yeah, that was gonna be my guess. I guess. There's two major areas I want to cover.
All right.
The last question in that area was, what do you look forward to doing with me or Wesson in the future the most?
Oh man, anything.
Like, what's the next? Because in my head,
You know what? I got to be honest with you. When you graduate, that's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
And then just looking forward to hearing what your plans are after that. Whatever you decide to do, both of you, it's like I'm all for it as long as it's in the right way. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like do it the smart way, do it the right way, and then I just want to see you guys, grow as young adults and be successful. In whatever you do. I what I look forward to you guys doing though, and I caution you guys is getting into relationships too early. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up limiting your options in life. You hear it all the time where all these, let's take it for example, superstar high school quarterback scholarships up the yin yang, right?
Yeah.
He's going places. All of a sudden knocks up his girlfriend, right? Now he's working at the grocery store at night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, don't cripple yourself before you give yourself a chance.
Yeah.
Would you say George was one of your close friends?
George was an individual who I was. Yeah, he was a friend of mine. Yeah, a lot older than me though. They're
Yeah.
two different types of styles, but he was more of a mentor in a certain aspect of life, in a certain area.
Yeah. He got you. I'm sure he didn't get you in gambling, right?
Yeah,
He did.
yeah, yeah. He taught me everything I know about certain aspects of gambling and things like that. And then whatever he couldn't teach me, he sent me other places to learn.
Yeah. Do you think he's taught you valuable things about life, or just?
Gambling's a lifestyle of individuals who like to seek a rush.
$32,000 on black. Don't fuck me, don't fuck me, don't fuck me, don't fuck me. Big, big, holy fuck, big, big, holy
Who risk takers. A lot of wealthy individuals are risk takers. A lot of athletes. These are people who are addicted to taking risks. Adrenaline junkies and things like that. The all or nothing type of, you only live once, right? So, gambling is that type of lifestyle. And it becomes an addiction. I don't think it's the best thing for anybody to be addicted to anything. Gambling, especially because you affect more people than you think. Unless it's just you on an island somewhere, and no matter how much money you blow or win, it's only affecting you. Then do you, right? But
Mhm.
in most instances, anytime you're throwing away money like that, and you're affecting others, you're taking away from other people's, you're taking food out of their mouths, right? So when it comes to family and things like that, you shouldn't be gambling. I don't think gambling is a good lifestyle for an individual who has to support a family. If I had to take my lifetime winnings and put them against my lifetime losings, I can promise you that I've lost more than I've won. Okay? There's very few people that come up ahead. And most of them are going to lie to you about it anyways. They're not going to tell you the truth because that would make them, less creditable for whatever they got going on right then and there. You know what I mean? Maybe they're still involved in that aspect of making money off of telling people that they're professional winners at gambling or professional gamblers and they win constantly. That's a fabrication. That's to get you to keep tuning in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
His thing is blackjack.
And your game was.
I like craps.
Yeah.
But I'm also a decent poker player. I learned poker in prison. That was a little bit, I remember when I first went to prison, my big homies used to tell me, number one thing, don't get into debt and don't gamble.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two major rules, or cautions is what I should say, because that'll get you done in real quick if you owe money to people in there. And so that was the big thing, was don't gamble because you're going to end up losing, and then you're going to have to pay your debts. And once you start doing that, things get pretty serious real quick. And it doesn't take a whole lot of money. So, but I did learn how to gamble in prison when it comes to poker and stuff like that. And, NFL and college football and that type of stuff. But, that's not something that, I do on a regular basis. I like to work. I work a normal job. I'm not out there trying to get rich quick, because I've realized it ain't no rich quick thing that's going to work out in the long run anyways. Yeah. Anybody who got rich quick either won the lottery or
pump and dump scheme type of.
Yeah, or they got, they ended up paying for it later on.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody can get rich quick it just don't happen.
You know that movie Bitcoin? It was about the tech startup Centra.
You talking about that fucking dude that snitched on his partners and all that?
Yeah.
The Bitcoin guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
That wasn't a Bitcoin and stuff wasn't around before you got in prison, right?
No.
So when you got out, did you ever try learning about it, or were you just screw that?
Crypto? I look at crypto at kind of like the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like it works for some people who know the ins and outs of it. I didn't grow up like that. Everything we deal with is hard cash or tangible things,
Yeah.
Not just this make-believe shit that you look up on your computer.
Yeah.
So but
at the same time, that's where the world's at, right?
Yeah, and believe me, don't get me wrong. I look at, there was an individual I just recently met and was talking about, and I found out they actually own a Bitcoin. And I'm thinking to myself, fuck, that's what, 60 grand?
It's at the good times, yeah.
Yeah.
At other times, it's 50.
Really? It drops that much?
It did drop that much at one point.
Okay.
Ethereum was the NFT blockchain coin. Remember when the NFT
See, this is all new. This is your guys' generation stuff.
I know,
but for me to learn, in order for me to get involved in that type of stuff, my mentality would be like this. Okay, this person knows how to do it. I don't know the first thing about it. Let this person delegate this for me.
Right,
you know what I mean? Let me entrust. If I were to trust that person enough with that type of investment, I would let that person delegate it and possibly make us some money in the process.
Yeah.
But me personally, I don't know enough about it, nor do I have the time to learn about it to actually want to get involved in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless an opportunity came across my lap where, let's say you got into it, I would jump on you on your bandwagon and be like, hey, by the way, here's some cash. Help me out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I was talking to Isaac about this. But on that whole NFT thing that was a pattern, you know what I mean? Like an NFT thing was a hype. It was there was no industrial need for it.
Right, but there's still a market for it. Like when you're talking to NFTs, are we talking like
the Bored Apes? Like the pictures people would sell.
Okay, I was thinking more of like buying fucking skins on Fortnite.
Right, yeah. So that is one. That was the early stages of it.
And in my mind, yeah, that's profitable.
100%, yeah.
Okay, because I buy the damn skins for Fortnite.
Yeah.
I like that type of stuff. I mean, and there's a lot of people out there that do. You know what I mean? That will spend money on bullshit.
Yeah. So
right? So it's like, and that's what it is. It's
right,
make believe. I mean, you're playing a computer game that now you got to buy extras to keep yourself looking cool.
But if you think about that at the same time, people kind of do that with clothing too, like in real life. Like, you think anybody needs a Gucci shirt? Like, you can wear regular shirts. People buy it so they can feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Fortnite. You didn't need the Renegade, right?
Right. Here's the difference, though: is the Gucci shirt you take home and you can wear, right?
That's becoming a point where that's all people do.
I know, and that's something that's the new way it is. I mean, I that's not how I was growing up. I don't know that type of life.
Yeah. So the NFT thing, when it first started, was like skins, right, in Fortnite, except they just started with pictures, and then they tied those cryptocurrencies to the pictures.
Like, to this day, let's say I owned a Bitcoin, I wouldn't know how to in. What the hell am I supposed to do with a Bitcoin? How do I spend that money? You see what I'm saying? Like,
that's what
I don't know the first thing.
That's what Sintra did, though, and they got that was a crazy.
Okay, let's say I get a Bitcoin, right? Okay, what's my next step? What am I doing with it?
Yeah.
How do I turn that Bitcoin into a car?
They were the first people to try to get a card where you could just, direct wire transfer. That failed.
Okay, so
what happened?
My question is if I had a Bitcoin that was worth $60,000, how do I go purchase a car with that?
Well, now you would cash it out in Robinhood, and then you'd send that money directly to your bank account.
Okay, well that makes more sense.
What people try to do was they took whatever currency.
Well, by the way, screw Robinhood. They're a bunch of crooks.
Yeah,
I have an account with them, and after I learned what they did with that game, the GameStop,
yeah,
I was like, nah, these people are, and I can't believe they. It's amazing to me what all the rich people in the world get away with.
Thanks for coming on, Dad.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it.
I enjoy watching your guys' podcast. I really do. Every time I see it on my YouTube, it's like, cool. That's my boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of you guys, man.
Thank you. Thank you guys for mess that one up. Thank you guys for watching, liking, subscribing, following, commenting, doing all that. It was a good podcast. Thank you guys. Victory Lap Podcast. We're out.